Hi, this is Anthony and welcome back to my show. My title is not clickbait, but you need to watch the entire video because for certain shareholders, this strategy will not work. Of course, I would sincerely appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps me out in building this channel and it doesn't cost you anything. Thanks. And let's get a few things out of the way really quickly. I used to own a couple shares of Arcimoto. I sold them a few weeks ago at a loss. I do not currently own any shares. I do not intend to buy any shares, and I'm not shorting the stock. Recently, there was a vote, and shareholders approved giving the board permission to conduct a reverse stock split. The board decided to enact a 20-for-1 reverse stock split. This means that for every 20 shares you own currently, you will get one new share starting next Tuesday, November 29th, 2022. But they also stated that instead of issuing fractional shares or paying you cash for fractional shares, they would give you one whole share for any fractional shares that you would have after the change. Now that's unusual for a company to do. When I've seen reverse splits happen, it always is that the company gives shareholders cash for their fractional shares. So I wanted to clarify with Arcimoto if my understanding was correct that they were going to round up to a whole new share next Tuesday when the reverse split occurs. Here's my letter that I sent last Thursday to the author of the press release. Dear Ms. Kathman, I had one question about your recent press release concerning the 20-for-1 reverse stock split in the Arcimoto stock. In it you state, no fractional shares will be issued in connection with the reverse split, and stockholders who would otherwise be entitled to receive a fractional share will instead receive one whole share of common stock in lieu of such fractional share. I would like some clarification on this. Let's take the recent price of the stock, which is about 50 cents, and assume for the example here that the value stays 50 cents between now and the end of the month when the reverse split occurs, just to make the math very simple here. If I own 20 shares of stock at this time and each share is worth 50 cents, then my 20 shares would be worth $10. So when the stock split occurs November 29th, my 20 shares worth $10 would become one share worth $10. If I owned only one share of stock currently, it would be worth 50 cents. However, according to your press release, it seems that when the reverse split occurs at the end of the month, my one share, which then would be worth 1/20th of a new share, or a fraction of a share, would be turned into one whole new share, because shareholders will instead receive one whole share of common stock in lieu of such fractional share. So one current share worth 50 cents would be turned into one new share after the reverse split and would be valued at $10. Again, assuming no change in stock price in the next 13 or so calendar days, which I know is not necessarily a realistic assumption. And conversely, if a person owned 21 shares currently, which would be worth $10.50 after the reverse split, 20 of those shares would be converted into one new share worth $10, and the one fractional share would be turned into one new share also worth $10 for a total of $20 in value. I would appreciate it if you could reply and let me know if this is the intention of the company with regards to bumping up post-split fractional shares to a whole post-split share. Thanks in advance. Sincerely, Anthony Mills. So yesterday I uploaded a video reiterating what I believed to be true, but at that point I had not heard from the company. As seems to happen so often in life, right after I uploaded that video, I received a short email from the CFO of the company confirming that my understanding was correct, that even a single share of stock owned by a shareholder at this time would be converted to a new share worth 20 times the current value. And here's a screenshot of his email to me yesterday. Now here's the important thing. You need to listen to this. Don't assume you know what I'm going to say. I want to mention something about reverse stock splits. Here's the risk for some investors. Some platforms or brokerage houses will charge a fee called a reorganization fee when a stock has a reverse split. This is never done when stocks have positive splits, such as when you have one share of Amazon worth $2,000 and then they give you 20 shares that are now worth $100 each. But certain brokers, including my own, charge between $20 and $38 for reverse splits. Here are a couple charts that I found on the internet that at the time I found them showed what different brokerages charge. And again, many do not charge for that service. But if you currently own Arcimoto stock through a TD Ameritrade or E-Trade account, you will be hit with a fee next Tuesday. The way you could avoid that is, if you wanted to continue holding the stock, is you could sell your stock now and then buy it back later. However, if you do that with less than 31 days between transactions, you may not be able to write off any losses that you have. I'm not giving accounting advice, but consider that and talk to an accountant if you need to. So it would seem to me that if you had accounts, perhaps regular stock accounts as well as Roth IRAs, at multiple brokerages, and again we're talking about ones that don't charge the reorganization fee, and assuming that they don't have commissions, you could buy one share for 50 cents or less prior to next Tuesday. And on Tuesday, you would then have one new share, which is the equivalent of 20 shares today, thereby turning your 50-cent investment into a $10 share of stock for approximately a profit of $9.50. And of course, if that happened in a Roth IRA, it would be tax-free. Again, in the scenario, if you had multiple accounts, you could buy one share for each of those accounts and end up with a new security worth approximately $10 in each one of those accounts. So a pretty good rate of return. Also, it doesn't seem to make sense buying more than one share or less than 20 shares in the scenario. If you buy one share, you'll get the new share worth 20 old shares. If you buy 2 shares currently, which would cost you about $1, you're still getting the new share worth 20 old shares. If you own 21 old shares, then it would be worth 2 new shares. That is, 20 shares would turn into one new share, and your one share would otherwise be a fractional share, would be bumped up into the second whole share. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, that's a lot of work to make approximately $9.50. Well, if you already have one of those accounts, then it's just a few keystrokes. And quite frankly, in my personal opinion, Arcimoto is headed towards bankruptcy, and you're otherwise going to lose all or most of your investment in the company. So turning 50 cents into $10 is probably your only chance of making any money. And that's something that you could do in less than a week. Am I going to do this? No, because my brokerage charges the reverse split or reorganization fee, so it doesn't make economic sense for me to do it. However, if I already had an account that didn't charge a fee, yeah, I definitely would buy one share for around 50 cents and have it worth 20 times what I paid for it next week. Oh, and by the way, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm a YouTube entertainer just suggesting that something might work out based on what the company's press release states and what the CFO confirmed. If you did do that scenario that I've outlined, I would seriously consider selling the stock after the change. As I've already pointed out, I do not see the company and therefore stock doing well in the future. Okay, that's all I want to say for today. I want to keep this video very short. I will have the text of the letter that I sent to the company in the show notes, along with the link to their press release. As always, put some consideration into any investment that you are considering buying, selling, or holding. And while speculations such as these might be appropriate for a very small percentage of some people's portfolios, the best strategy is to shoot for a well-balanced long-term portfolio. Please leave any comments in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching, and good luck in investing.